It's just the same as it was before. There's no one there. I wasn't given a specific link for myself. Ah, okay. I think I'm on there now. Yeah, wonderful. Right, I'm gonna hang up. Hello. Wow. Da, 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 da. Oh, there's actually people here now. Well, so I've been having lots of strange issues. So as it always goes, when we're testing it out and amongst ourselves, it works perfectly fine. And when we actually do it properly, no luck at all. Who have I got? Let's see if I can see participants. See Bryony Greenwell. Yeah, I do. I do. George and Alice, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. So let me just get up my lesson plans that I did for everyone for ukulele. So all the ukulele people are the rough kind of similar kind of area. Oh, Sebastian, wonderful. Oh, lots of people. Okay, if you've got any questions at any point or any kind of abuse you want to hurl at me for being late, then that's fine. Because but any questions, to stick them in there and I'll answer the questions. If not, I'm just going to go through the various random bits of work that I've set some of the different ukulele groups this week. So, right, where am I? Wonderful. Okay, so what I've been doing with everyone is, first thing is our ear training. I find I do that. Find it's quite important because a lot of people, especially younger students, struggle to hear if they're playing something properly or not. What I mean by that is if they play a chord like this one, for example, is a C. Everyone can play that. I know they can, but sometimes they don't play it quite right, but they don't listen quite as they should. So I do a bit of ear training. So I'll play a certain type of chord. They have to tell me if it's happy, sad, whatever. That's something I do with pretty much every group I teach, to be honest. Every student I've got. Okay, so recently, with all the groups, in fact, we've been looking at our rhythmic note values as well. So that's half notes, which we call green tea, whole notes, which is peppermint tea, and most recently quarter notes, so just tea, and eighth notes, which is coffee, like that, depending on the group. But every group will have at least a basic knowledge of what we've been doing with the rhythmic note values. Okay, just want to make sure that I don't stay on this particular one too long. Okay, so right, we've got let's say three basic chords that we start with when we're learning. So it's C, which will be the first one that we ever learn. Don't know if you can hear that or not. And then A minor, which is the next one. And then after that, we do F as well. So it's one extra finger added on there. And then the next chord we'll move on to, which I think one or two of the groups have been doing this week, is the G chord. This is the hardest one because we're actually using three fingers at once rather than one or two. So G sounds like this. And it's got looks that kind of shape. Well, what a lot of students struggle with, I'll point this out so parents can see as and when the kids are practicing, is a lot of the time if they're playing a chord, their fingers will kind of flatten out like this. And what happens then is kind of that fleshy part or that bit of the finger will lay across some of the other strings and mute them a little bit. Not great because when that happens, doesn't sound quite as good as it should. Okay, so just make sure they use the very tips of their fingers and they curl around like this, if anything, rather than like that. Okay, as I said, if there is any questions, just shoot that in the message thing there. And again, apologies for technical issues that we've been having. Okay, so next thing, if I get this up, what we've been looking at is some of the chords. So a lot of different songs. Sorry. So the songs that we do, we start learning after we've looked at the specific chords or techniques that we use in there. So we find a pick. For some of the groups this week, we've been looking at alternate picking, and what that is when we're moving down and up when we pick any particular string. So, for example, we go like down, up, like that. That makes things very efficient because, for example, I don't know if you can hear this, but if I'm going as fast as I can downwards, that's as fast as I can go. Can't go any faster. But when I'm alternate picking, it's so 2 or 3 times as fast straight away. So when you pick downwards, you pick as well when you're going up before you go back down again. It's a bit of a convoluted way of explaining it, but makes it a lot more efficient. And the reason why we've been looking at alternate picking is because a lot of the songs have parts that would go like this, for example. Now, because they are quite slow, you can get away with doing them just down picking, but it's really good to get everyone, guitar players, ukulele, maybe not so much bass, but a lot of different stringed fretted instruments, getting alternate picking down early is a great kind of discipline to get under your fingers, because when you come to need it later on, it's going to be quite difficult to pick up if you're not used to doing it. Right, let's have a look at what else. So some of the groups we've been starting to look at scales. Now, this is a bit difficult to explain over the messages when I send the workout, but basically the idea or the understanding I want everyone to have with scales like the C major scale is that that's how we are going to build chords and songs, melodies, everything. Everything can be traced back down to a basic scale such as the C major. It's not super important that we can play it really quickly either. We just need to know how to do it, because that's going to inform everything else that we do pretty much. Okay, so other ukulele things we've been working on, as well as chords, which we've done, looked at different songs, and that's obviously influenced by techniques I spoke about, for example, alternate picking. We've also got something I do. I kind of do some within the actual lesson. I do rhythmic perception. It's kind of hard to do when we've got kind of the digital format going on, but I like to put on a drum loop, for example, and then I'll play some notes, or tell them they have to tell me how many I play, and that's good because then they can listen to the rhythm and not necessarily how the chord sounds, for example. And then we might have a particular game where I'll clap something and see if everyone can clap it back. So that's not counting it then, it's just trying to get the rhythm. And then I might write it down on the board. That's something that I'm going to work on sending out to a few people, it's working on their rhythm a little bit more, and ways that we can practice it at home. So let's have a look. Some of the ukulele students, we've been looking at some songwriting as well, and that circles back around to the Stanley, yes. So we're running a bit behind, so we'll be doing the guitar shortly, but we had some technical issues, so we will finish up ukulele quickly in, say, 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll start that. Just running a little bit behind, that's all. Okay. Right, we're looking at some creative stuff. So with that particular group, we've looked at other techniques such as arpeggio. So we'll play a chord and we play each note separately in a particular pattern rather than just going like that, which is not good at all. So where am I now? I like to try and make people do things that are a little creative, because older students tend to understand the idea of learning a technique and why we'd have to work on that before we do anything else. But I introduce the technique slowly for the ukulele students and the younger ones, and then give them a way that they can actually use it, so they feel like they're doing something important rather than just learning stuff because I've told them. Okay. If there's any questions, as I said, still stick them in. Ask children if they've got a particular question as well. Um, with regards to practice, I know a lot of people do practice, a lot of people also don't, and I've got no way of telling at this point in time if everyone's practicing. But I like to say to people do 15, 20 minutes every other day, something like that. I think that's a good kind of, because we don't want them to feel like it's a chore and they don't want to do it. But we also don't want people to feel that they really need to. I have I had one student, not ukulele or guitar with this company, another one recently, who came into a lesson really upset because they thought I was going to be angry because they didn't practice. And that doesn't upset me. I mean, it's something that when they practice, they realize that they get better, and then that makes them happy. You know, they want to practice more than they want to play more. So try and find a balance between it all. Any questions at all before we start signing this off? Bear in mind there is a short delay between when you send the message and when I see it. Okay, can I email a video with really clear examples of where the fingers go for these chords? Yeah, I can do. What I'll do, in fact, I will write that down, because some of the particular videos that we can find on YouTube or something aren't super clear. Right, let me write that down. So chords, ukulele. So I believe all the chords have been off the top of my head. So we've got C, A minor, F, and G. They're the main ones we've been looking at. So I will put together a video and send it out to anyone that wants it. If there's any questions that you think of after this stream, then shoot an email to MusicWorks and it'll filter down to me, and then we can sort something out. Okay, and for Freddie as well. Awesome. I will get that done within the next day or two, get that sent out. Any more questions at all? Wait for a second. Okay, well, hopefully it's been assume I'm completed. That's that's usually the best way to teach, because even now I'll come across something that's really basic and it was like a sudden realization or something on guitar or ukulele, and sometimes that is for the best. Anyway, thank you everyone. I'm going to end that stream. Any questions, just email it along, and I said it will get to me soon. Thank you very much.